Hey guys, so I just wanted to give a little update on something I'm working on right now. This is a tri-drive lowered Kenworth W900, and I'm also working on a tri-drive not lowered, just stock height Peterbilt 359. And so I used some parts from that. Basically, I had a Kenworth already that I had scrapped, that I'm turning into a flatbed, and so I chopped the whole cab section, or the sleeper, off of the cab, so it's just the cab and the rest of the frame, and I'm going to do a rollback frame for that as a tow truck. And so I had some leftover Kenworth parts, and I bought two Peterbilt 359s, used some of the frame and one of the axles to make that one a tri-drive, and also the sleeper, so I made it an extended sleeper as well as the extended frame and tri-drive. So I'm doing a very similar thing that I did on that, which I've already got partially painted on this, and this is just temporary. I'm going to Bondo all of this so it's smooth, and I just added a piece of round styrene up here to fill this gap so that the Bondo has something to bite on when I start doing that. And I moved part of the suspension, and it's a little bit hard to see with the wheel on here, but I'm going to kind of try and give you an idea that down here I chopped, focus, I chopped this whole section, and I chopped this whole section, and then I actually had to move the axle backwards a little bit because it sat too far forward, and so it sits pretty much right in the middle, and there's a very minimal gap under there. Normally it's a lot bigger gap, and so moving forward you can kind of tell this is a little bit at an angle, and the modification really starts right here, and on this line I chopped it exactly even with the sleeper so I could add on the sleeper, and I used the rest of the Peterbilt frame, and you can kind of see this is where the engine mount used to be and some of the steering on the other side, and I just chopped it down. This was actually part of where the steps are, and I think some of the gas tanks, so that's what the holes are from, but I chopped that and then used it to extend the frame here all the way to this line right here. And so this doesn't have anything underneath it. I'm going to fill that in with styrene on the bottom, give it a bottom, and you can see here where the angle kind of starts to go up, and it actually is at a slope here, like if you've ever seen a lowered pickup truck or something like that. Sometimes if they like channel the frame or do lowered suspension, they have to square box part of the frame so that the suspension fits underneath it, and so it's not a totally uncommon kind of design here. And then at the very back it's totally flat, it's even. These two axles have this whole suspension part right here, so this is literally sitting totally flat, and the hitch here will be exactly the same height if I'm going to add a trailer to it or something like that. And then the whole back end is totally stock from here all the way back. So what I will have to do is add a drive bar right there, so it actually does replicate a tri-drive, and then extend an axle from that all the way to the back of the transmission, which the engine isn't in here yet. I haven't mocked that up. I might have to modify the oil pan to fit the new suspension on the front. I think it might be too low, but I'll get to that when I get to it. And what else did I need to explain here? Basically, I added these pieces first, and then I glued this on as it was sitting as best as I could get it, and then I added these extra support bars in here, and then once these were all together, I sat this down and I sat this down, and then I just mated them, And I did it already once. I had to chop it using a saw. I used one of these to split it, and then I added some box tubing here because the wheels were actually too close together. And so now you can see they're just about the same distance in between, but they're totally, this one is a little bit tight. But all of the wheels actually do roll. That one's just giving me trouble. It's a little bit too tight on the axle there. These cheap Revell kits, they're like 25 bucks, I think, and normally a semi-truck kit is like, you know, 35 to like 50, 60 bucks. And so the engineering is pretty much a snap fit kit, and so like the axles and stuff tend to be either really tight or really loose. Like this one back here is loose, this one is really loose, and then this one doesn't want to move barely at all. But they are all totally perfectly flat, which is awesome. It's exactly what I was going for. So, you know, the frame isn't all crooked or anything like that. It's perfectly straight. It's just, you know, beveled up. And then I'm going to use some of this to cover over the extended frame, just like that. And then the whole frame is going to be flat black. I'm not sure what color I'm going to paint the truck yet. And then, of course, this is all going to be bondoed in. And so it'll be totally smooth. And this is going to be totally covered, so you're not going to see any of the chop marks or anything like that. And then on top of it, it's lowered. So, yeah, it's been a really fun project. This is basically, you know, I got a new Kenworth and used a bunch of old parts that I had to slam this thing together. And so, sorry, the focus isn't really working that great. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to get this finished up and get some paint on it, because I think it's going to look really awesome. And I think it's going to look great next to my Peterbilt tri-drive, which is going to be pulling the Revell car carrier, which I think holds like 6 cars. I'm painting those two together red and black. So I might do this one like black and blue. That way they're kind of, you know, opposites of each other, and then it'll look really nice putting them up next to each other. But anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for taking a look at this. If you wanted to do something similar, now you kind of have an idea what you need to do. Basically, you could, you know, pick up 2 of these kits and kit bash them either way, you know, a Peterbilt and a Kenworth, or 2 Kenworths or 2 Peterbilts. And it's pretty easy, actually. All you need is a saw, and a miter box helps. But yeah, pretty basic and a lot of fun. Pretty easy to customize. So anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for checking out what I did.